1000. I'm joined now by dog behaviourist Jo Cottrell to talk to us about this change of the law up in Scotland. Jo, we learned at First Minister's Questions this week that the leader of the Scottish government, Hamza Youssef, says that there has been a flood of XL bullies going north of the border seeking sanctuary in Scotland. Does that strike you as realistic?
Well, yes, Jake. I mean, if you present humans with a challenge, humans are animals as well. So, like dogs, they'll go into a survival instinct. And some people have submitted and complied to the regulations. Some people have gone into fight mode and they fought the regulations and they're not going to comply. And then other people have found a solution. They've gone into flight mode, into avoidance mode, and they've gone to Scotland. Some people have moved to Scotland with their XL bullies. Some people have sent their dogs to Scotland. Some rescues have found rescues in Scotland. So you can't underestimate human behaviour. When you put a ban in place like this, people are going to find a solution that works for them.
I never underestimate how much people love their dogs, because I certainly love my dog as a member of our family.
Yes.
So I understand that feeling people have. Was it sensible though? This was surely all predictable, and in fact, Michael Gove wrote to the Scottish Government in November of last year, pleading with them in the letter to bring in a similar regime to match the rest of the United Kingdom. Was it predictable that this flood of dogs over the border was going to happen? Has the Scottish Government sort of been slightly asleep at the wheel when it comes to keeping their people safe?
Well, yes, it was kind of the obvious option, really. If they can't be legal in the UK, where else can we own them so that it's legal? So it's kind of an obvious solution for owners in the UK to think, okay, let's move up to Scotland, or let's send our dog up to Scotland and see if we can find a home up there. So wherever you present a challenge, people will find a solution somewhere else.
And you say an obvious thing that was going to happen. So as Scotland now moves into line with England and Wales in relation to the law relating to the XL bully breed, what will people do next? Have you got any idea?
Well, unfortunately, I think the committed dog owners that absolutely love their dogs will find somewhere else to move to, if that's possible for them. I think it's quite sad, because as you close the doors on people, they will then possibly be pushed into making a decision where they have to have their dog euthanized because there are no other options available. And I think it's a sad case of affairs, because
let's be clear about this, though. There are other options available, because the law change requires the dog, if it's a male dog, to be castrated, for it to be muzzled in public, and to remain on a leash when out in public. Now, if you love your dog, and I'm a dog owner myself, surely you would comply with that rather than have your dog put down. There's no suggestion by the government that there's a blanket sort of requirement to have your dog euthanized. It's not an unreasonable behaviour change that the government is asking of people to really keep their dog under strict control when out in public, is it?
Yeah, I think that's relevant for dog owners. Obviously, that would be the sensible option. You know, we're saying you just have to muzzle them, castrate them, sterilize them, keep them on a lead. But actually, when you look at rescue situations, they're facing a lot of dogs, XL bullies that they have in their rescue environment. They're facing times where they have to make the decision to put those dogs to sleep. And let's not, forget about the people that actually have to go through that. It's quite traumatic. Let's think about the vets that have to be putting these dogs to sleep, the rescue staff that have to go through that. It's quite a sad state of events, really. And I think, in my view, to use the word ban is actually incorrect, because what they've done in the UK is not banned the breed. They've just put regulations in place. Correct. And as soon as people see the word ban, whether they read the detail or not, they automatically think, okay, we can't have an XL bully in this country. And again, you're not going to prevent those people that aren't going to adhere to the regulations. You're not going to prevent them from carrying on as what they're doing now, which is breeding these dogs and taking them out and using them for purposes that just aren't fit for purpose, really. You know, they're using them for protection, you know, to
So
protect
that's the
whatever it is
challenge, Joe.
they're
That's the challenge, Joe, isn't it? And it sounds that you say rather than people moving, it sounds like dog moving. I thought it was extraordinary. I read this, the idea that people would move house just not to keep their dog on a lead, put a muzzle on it and have them sterilised. So I think it's dogs moving. I think the big problem is in rescue. It's not clear from the Scottish Government that they believe that. That's certainly what it would appear to me. And I know how traumatic it is to have a dog put to sleep. I had to do it myself recently. But they're not banned, are they? And there are that people can keep them, but they have to keep them under control. Do you think people in Scotland, like in the rest of the United Kingdom, will sort of carry on with that misconception that a ban means you cannot have them, and they'll see a big peak in them being given up for rescue in Scotland now?
Well, possibly, yes. If people are misinterpreting the regulations, then yes, some people will think, okay, we can't have an XL bully at all, but that's not the case. So I would urge people to make sure that they read the regulations, they understand them. And the message is you can still keep your XL bully, you just have to follow these guidelines.
Jo, thank you so much for joining us here on Talk TV and educating us to some extent about the
Pleasure.
guidelines that we must follow.